With modern times, he criticized capitalism without a conscience. And that's what we have now. We have capitalism without a conscience. He showed the common man being fed through gears of the brutal, dehumanizing industrial age. He took on the American right wing of his day, its worst evils: hatred of immigrants, contempt for the truth, greed, and the abuse of power.
A terrible, stupid person, actually, that couldn't do the job well. And I fired him, and he sort of confirmed it. I don't know how he confirmed.
Capitalism without a conscience. That's what we have now. A system where the gears of industry grind people down, where the powerful feast while the working class fights for scraps. The same themes that once played out in black and white silent films are now playing out in real life, in real time.
But I used to love to draw cartoons, and I thought, oh,
Me too.
you played a cartoonist.
This whole thing has brought back my 8-year-old self. It's been a gift from God. It's like literally like brought me back to 8 years old, where I used to sit in my room. Trump is toast.
The one that's the most successful is Greg.
Is who?
Greg Gutfeld.
So Jimmy Kimmel, we got to make him great again.
Jimmy Kimmel's a loser. Look, we would...
The American right wing, a machine fueled by hatred, greed, and an unshakable disdain for truth, continues to run unchecked, crushing anything and anyone that dares stand in its way. It's a machine built on deception, on power for power's sake, and on the ruthless exploitation of the very people who prop it up. And yet, in a world where shamelessness has become a superpower, those who expose the truth are dismissed as radicals, while those who peddle lies are lifted onto pedestals.
Shamelessness is not and will never be a superpower. It is the mark of a villain. Kidnapping children is not what great nations do. Almost half of America at this moment believes there is a sinister deep state diabolically plotting to what? What is the sinister plan here? We in America are misinformed.
And then there's Donald Trump, a man whose entire existence is a running punchline, a walking contradiction of bombast and blunders, forever trapped in a loop of self-inflicted embarrassment. Trump has built his legacy on a foundation of bravado, yet he crumbles at the slightest joke, the smallest slight.
Whatever happened to the element of surprise? Right, the element of surprise. What a group of losers we have.
His latest feud? Jim Carrey. Yes, that Jim Carrey. The rubber-faced comedic genius turned satirical sniper. Carrey has been dismantling Trump for years, with paintbrush and words alike, turning his absurdity into art. And Trump, he's taken the bait yet again, reacting with all the grace of a toddler denied his favorite toy.
I just want to express it in a positive way. I want to turn everything painful into art.
The latest round began when Carrey unleashed another verbal roast so blistering it could peel the gold plating off the walls of Mar-a-Lago. He painted Trump as an obsolete relic, an out-of-service fax machine that jams up the system, spewing nonsense with every failed transmission. It was brutal, it was hilarious, and most importantly, it was true. And Trump, true to form, responded in the only way he knows how, a scattershot, grievance-fueled rant that did little more than confirm Carrey's entire premise.
Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
If there were an Olympic event for taking jokes personally, Trump would have more gold medals than his fake university ever handed out degrees. His response? A predictable cocktail of washed-up Hollywood elitist and the classic "people are saying" line, which in Trump's world translates to "I just made this up, but it sounds official."
Melania Trump reappeared at Trump's big dollar fundraiser in Florida over the weekend, looking absolutely miserable, looking like she is being held hostage. You have to see this.
Just wanting change. The rich people want it, poor people want it, everybody wants change. Our country is really doing poorly. We're a laughing stock all over the world, and we're going to get that change very quickly. And this has been some incredible evening before.
The suspicions that Melania has been conspicuously missing from the campaign trail for very specific reasons, she doesn't want to be there, it seemed to be borne out by her presence here.
And of course, in Trump's mind, Carrey isn't just a comedian mocking him. He's now part of a grand conspiracy, a deep state operative hell-bent on destroying America. Because in Trump's world, there is no in-between. You're either his worshipful devotee or a sworn enemy of the people. Melania, as usual, remained in the background, her silence speaking volumes. One can only imagine her reaction behind closed doors, an exasperated sigh.
Look what Jim Carrey says. This is sick. This came out this morning. Innocent people are now being slaughtered, families ruined, and children's lives destroyed, all in his name. If the craven Republican Senate allows this vile miscreant to continue encouraging divisiveness, the Trump presidency will become an extinction-level event. And here he draws Trump with a swastika, like a giant asteroid coming from space about to hit the Earth.
A well-practiced eye roll, or maybe, just maybe, a flicker of amusement that someone finally said what she's been thinking since day one. Meanwhile, Trump's inner circle undoubtedly held an emergency strategy meeting, scrambling to contain the fallout. Should they brand Carrey a socialist? Accuse him of being a deep state plant? Pretend none of this happened and hope Fox News ignores it? The possibilities were endless. But the best part? Carrey didn't even need to respond. He'd already won.
Well, we have some of the dumbest leaders in the world. We have losers. We have losers.
They're losers. They're just losers.
We have very stupid people. We have stupid leadership.
How stupid are our leaders?
The joke landed, the world laughed, and Trump, predictably, made it worse by taking the bait. Every time he lashes out, he only amplifies the very mockery he's trying to silence. It's the same cycle, over and over. Trump picks a fight, someone sharper and wittier eviscerates him, he throws a tantrum, the world laughs, rinse and repeat.
That's all of his donors and special interests out there.
It's been an amazing journey for me. It's been a lot of fun. I never thought I'd be a politician in my life. He said I'm not. I guess you're right. I'm not. I refuse.
We need a leader that wrote The Art of the Deal.
I'll use the word anchor, baby.
And this time, the burn was deep. Because Carrey didn't just call out Trump's behavior, he exposed the deep-rooted contradictions, the hypocrisy, the desperation. The man who constantly brags about his toughness folds like a cheap suit the moment he's mocked. The self-proclaimed genius stumbles over his own words in a way that would embarrass a middle school debate team. The man who claims to be a champion for the forgotten people spends more time throwing tantrums over late-night monologues than actually helping anyone. Trump, of course, went full meltdown mode. His response wasn't so much a coherent rebuttal as it was a stream of consciousness word salad, peppered with rage and paranoia. He attacked Carrey's career. Ironic, considering Trump's own television legacy consists of yelling, "You're fired," at people far more competent than him. He ranted about the media, about Hollywood, about how unfairly he's treated, about how the world doesn't appreciate his greatness. And yet, the more he ranted, the more obvious it became. The jokes had landed, and they had landed hard. At this point, Trump's feuds with celebrities are less about defending himself and more about feeding his need for attention. He thrives on these public fights, on the spectacle, on the idea that he's locked in a grand battle against the forces of evil. Read comedians, journalists, and anyone who refuses to bow down to him. But the problem? He's bad at it. He's outmatched, outclassed, and completely incapable of taking a joke without turning it into a national crisis. And Carrey? He's just getting started. This isn't just about one roast, one painting, one punchline. It's about something bigger. It's about a man who has built his entire existence on conning the public finally being called out in ways he can't ignore. It's about the shamelessness that has infected politics, the normalization of absurdity, the outright rejection of reality. Carrey's roast wasn't just a joke. It was a mirror, reflecting back everything Trump fears most: ridicule, irrelevance, and the undeniable truth that no matter how loudly he screams, history will not be kind to him. The saga isn't over. Trump won't let it be. He'll fume, he'll rage, he'll launch more attacks, each one weaker than the last. His base will eat it up, his allies will scramble to spin it, and the rest of the world? They'll do what they always do: laugh. Because if there's one thing we've all learned by now, it's that Trump can dish it out. But taking it? That's another story entirely.